so we have technical difficulties all the time that I've been talking to you. I have my mic muted, so I apologize for that. Anyone who's watching now um, live, thank you for tuning in. Welcome to In Your Ear Radio. I am your host, Latoya, and just happy to be with you today on this very, very hot day, super hot. It's 101 degrees out here. It's like walking into an oven, y'all. So it's really, really hot. But what I was saying is, with In Your Ear Radio, I appreciate all of you who tune in, who follow me and watch on YouTube as well as on Facebook. And please like and share. But I come here and I say we as a collective because when I bring this information to you, it's a collective from listening to some of the scholars and just getting, research information from people that I trust, and then you guys send me information. So I look into it and I read about it and I try to bring on people who can speak to it, subject matter experts, if you will. And then of course I'll, share whatever thoughts that I may have. So it is a collective, even though, I am the host, I do bring on other people sometimes just to help you guys understanding of me as well. So again, just thank you. It's a lot to talk about, of course. The subject matter is, are Blackouts effective? And I really want to get into that and brainstorm it more. So, let's have a discussion about it. So if you're listening and you have a comment, you can post it, just type it in. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, type it in and then I'll read it and we can have a dialogue in that way. I also have a stream. If you want to pop in with me and talk for a moment, DM me and I'll try to pull you in. I'm still an analog girl in a digital world. So forgive me if, don't go as smooth as it's supposed to go. Anyway, did you guys watch Versus? Did you guys watch the Versus on YouTube? I haven't watched all of them. I don't watch all of them. But the first one I watched was with Teddy Riley and Babyface, and that was epic, historical in so many ways. But it was so exciting for me. I did, want to get a little crispy and, watch on my my phone and on my tablet and have my cocktail. And it was just exciting to be able to have, a front row seat to a concert. And it didn't go as planned. Teddy Riley kind of set it up how I pictured it in my mind, like it would be a live performance with a collaborative, even though I know that we're in a physical distancing kind of movement right now. In my mind, that's what I thought I was getting. So I, bless him for that attempt, but just sitting down, playing the good music and, humming along, singing along here and there, playing an instrument works better. But I enjoyed that. And the other one I watched was with Jill Scott and Erykah Badu. I couldn't wait. I wanted to be present live. The Versus I didn't watch live, but I got to watch it kind of like a date night. It worked out lovely. It was a lot of them songs that we all them rock to from back in the day. Just seeing some of the legendary rappers perform live was just the biggest thing. Seeing them perform live, DMX and Snoop, and I think they gave us a great performance. So I appreciate them for that. But I did notice there was a lot of misogyny in the music. And I know as, the older generation kind of turns their nose up at the younger generation because, they feel like they're doing the most with their music, the way they talk to women or women talk to men and blah, blah, blah. But our music kind of set the stage for that, kind of gave them permission to do that. And we kind of just blew it off. But nonetheless, it was some very good music that came out of that era. I really enjoyed Versus. Let me know how you felt or if you enjoyed it. But I don't know. I think we got a lot of work to do. My first show that I ever did was on the N-word and that word being used in lyrics. So I kind of feel like we have a responsibility. We have a responsibility as a people to demand respect, and a way of demanding respect is showing a level of respect for yourself. So, we all have to do our part. I came across an article that was sent to me that was talking about Chicago. There was a class action lawsuit against Chicago radio stations. And I thought that was interesting. It's actually a petition going around. And it's basically they're wanting to shut down advertisers from buying, I guess, time on their certain stations, and also because of the content of the music that they play. Chicago's a highlighted. People highlight Chicago a lot because of the concentration of deaths by Blacks in the community. But the music that they're playing on these local stations, 92.3, that's WPWX, and also 107.5 FM, that's WGCI. Anyways, they're saying that they need the music that they're playing is basically inciting the violence. Like, you know what's going on in these streets and you're playing this music. And they even posted some quotes that are really just really something. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think, because I kind of felt some type of way about it, reading the quotes. And I don't really listen to this, certain music now because it's just a bit much. So in one of the songs, they talk about shooting, and the lyrics go, "This Draco gun undefeated, hit your block, then I bleed it. Go long, these bullets, he receive it." And then you hear shooting in the background. Then he says, "I put your face on the news. I put the PUSSY on the shirt after I murk, then make them go shoot up the hearse." Then there's, people orchestrating the victim crying and all of this. And he says, "What's your issue if you got a trigger? Squeeze it. A whole block outside. It's a street fest." And then they shoot down into the crowd. So, a lot of innocent young children. I think the latest was I want to say a 2-year-old, but a young child, toddler, was killed, just being in the crossfire of a shootout. Other lyrics they use called gang beef. In reference to gang beef, it says, "Couple blue gangster disciples with the stones is bleeding. Ain't no peace treaty. These stones about my Jesus, they ain't treated. They get me heated. Don't play with the gang. They know that we undefeated." So you banging over music, then you pulling up and you trying to, live up to your lyrics in real life. This is happening in real time. So my opinion on this is I do support them speaking out, just like back in the day when our elders tried to get us to clean up our act with using a B word and misogynistic lyrics towards our women and, our children and to each other, because, it's something to think about how we speak to each other for the most part. When I was listening to verses with DMX and Snoop, when they got to Beautiful, then I felt relaxed and I was smiling. And he even said, "All the wise probably smiling now." And I said, "Yeah, now y'all done got off all of y'all did y'all dedication to the bitches." I'm glad that we're talking about, the queens, because that's how it sounds sometimes, even though I don't even know if it's intended that way, but it sounds better to hear positive, nice words directed at you rather than hearing certain things and knowing they're speaking of. Because if you think about when you listen to hip hop, the majority of it, I would say 90% of it, I would bet 90% of the hip hop that you listen to they're talking about a woman. It's some reference to a woman. If it's derogatory or not, they're talking about a woman. And for the most part, it is derogatory. It's really negative, sexual. It's just different stuff. But think about that. Y'all really love us, but in the music, sometimes it sounds like y'all hate us. And, I can only speak for myself, but I think I have a few people that would agree. So let me know what you think about that. Do you think that we should be censoring? Should we be censoring what's being heard on the radio, especially in the light of things actually really happening? Like, are we contributing to violence by playing that? And I know people love to bring up Chicago all the time when we talk about the things that we're out here protesting against, as a people, because like I said, it's a concentrated number of Black people that are being killed, but Chicago's not even the #1 state for homicides. California is, as a matter of fact. California, in 2018, there was almost 1,800 murders in California, and their most dangerous city was Emeryville. So, what I'm saying? #2 is Texas. In 2018, they had close to a little over 1,300 murders, and the most dangerous city was Bellmead at that time. Florida is #3, and they have 1,100, a little over 1,100. They're the third highest of murders in 2018, and Florida City is considered their most dangerous city in 2018. So Chicago ranks #4 with under 1,000 murders in 2018, and they trying to beat that record every year. It seems like, God forbid. But yeah, so they rank #4, but they get talked about the most, for whatever reason that may be. Nevada is actually low on the list. I think down to number 25 in 2018 with only 202 deaths. So murders, I should say. And that's what that is. So, it's a lot of rhetoric. And I call it rhetoric when we bring up a particular city because it's a common term that, everybody knows how to bring it up. It's a common conversation. So they are the ones that they focus on when they talk about homicides. But California was number one, and Chicago still isn't number one. Also, what I wanted to talk about today was Nick Cannon. I know he went through some things. I saw a few, letters, conversations, news reports, about him saying something that was very offensive to the Jewish community and friends of the Jewish community on his show Cannon's Class. And I think he was interviewing Inspector Deck, who was considered someone to be boycotted because of his anti-Semitic views or whatnot, whatever the issue is. But everybody that I listened to who reported Nick Cannon got fired from Wild 'N Out and Viacom and all the issues he's had, they just said he was fired because he wouldn't apologize for his anti-Semitic and racist, racist comments. But they never said what he said. And my first reaction was knowing that Nick Cannon's a teacher at a college. He studies, he reads, he's very interested in learning and growing. I didn't take it that he would have ever said anything like that. And I kind of spoke up in his defense, like, we shouldn't have to apologize for speaking the truth. Me not even knowing what he said. But still, I don't know because he's taken the video down. I never had a chance to watch it. And my question is, does anybody know what he said? Or are we just picking a side? Because once he decided, okay, I'm going to apologize because someone was humble, I won't say it was a humble thing, but someone thought it was, I guess, humbling before God to have a conversation with him and help him understand his wrong. And he was receptive to that, right? And so he apologized. And I respect him for that because if his intentions was not to offend, it's okay to say that and learn more and see if you're coming from a place that is not truthful or not, But long story short, I just felt like a lot of people are just bandwagon or they jump on and off the bandwagon, not even knowing, or all in the Kool-Aid and don't know the flavor. So I just thought that was an interesting story. He did end up sitting down with the Rabbi Abraham Cooper, and they had a conversation. And some of the things I thought were interesting that they talked about was that they brought up Farrakhan and they compared, and the rabbi was using him in comparison to Martin Luther King. So they both had a discussion about that. And the rabbis was saying basically that, people love Farrakhan because he's a great orator and he's very knowledgeable and well-spoken, but he still speaks on anti-Semitic things. And he sent Nick a bunch of documents that I don't know what was said in them. And so they still look at him like he hates them. He hates, the Jewish community. And they said that Martin Luther King didn't focus on race. He focused on the economic aspect of it because not only Black people are being affected disproportionately, poor people are too, right? By a lot of the things that we complain about. So I thought that was an interesting subject matter. That was interesting. Some of the words they said that he used, calling people savagery, was disrespectful. But again, I didn't hear the interview. The rabbi said that the Jewish community does not control the banks, and he accepted Nick Cannon and was willing to speak with him mainly because it's part of his beliefs. His religion teaches him that if a man comes to you more than once and asks to forgive him, you have to. And I thought that was interesting. But what I really thought was interesting, because I know a lot of Christians will do the same thing and say, God wants us to forgive, right? But he did say, because they talked about the mass shooting in the church, and he said, he couldn't, if someone came to him and asked him for forgiveness for something that they did to other people, he could not he could not give them forgiveness on their behalf. Those people would have to forgive him. And I thought that was a very good point because we get so wrapped up and what we think the message is, just to be a forgiving people. But who are you to forgive? Did that happen to you? You're just going to say, we forgive you? No, let that person come back from the grave and say it's okay. And until that happens, I don't know. But it was interesting. So if you haven't seen that on YouTube, the Nick Cannon's class, and I think it's several segments, I've only seen one, but I thought it was pretty interesting to talk about. But what I really want to talk about today is the blackouts, right? I really want to get into understanding this blackout situation. What is the purpose? What's our focus? What do we want the outcome to be? In my mind, when you say no shopping on July 7th or 4th of July or July 11th or whatever day we put out there, I'm with it. And my mind says that I'm not giving you any of my money on this day. This is what my community says we're going to do, and I support it because I'm tired of, the abuse that you're doing and still, having access to my dollar, right? But is it effective? And that's the question that I asked. Is just a day of blackout effective? I think it's effective if we get what we are demanding within that 24-hour period. But if after 24 hours, we still have the same issue, then what was the point? And so I want to, like I said, I'm with it. I just think, we have to be more strategic about it. If you think about the Montgomery bus boycotts, and shout out to GB, I see you watching live. I appreciate you. He said, I don't think he said anything outside of the truth, but the truth hurts and offends people who don't want to hear it. Basically, he agreed with Professor Griff, who I say Inspector that. Professor Griff, forgive me, y'all. And Jews having part in our slavery. Okay, so yeah, thank you. I appreciate that because I didn't get to watch the clip, and that was my first response too. And again, we're talking about Nick Cannon and his interview he did with Griff. Yeah, but I just fell back out of the conversation because I felt like I didn't watch the actual interview, so I really couldn't speak to it to say how I could have seen that as being offensive. But if people said that I could respect it, he would apologize for that. So that's a good look. But yeah, the blackouts now. So this is what people are doing. And blackouts is kind of like how we canceling culture too, right? How we just say we done with people. Well, what is the effect? What happens once we done with them besides them wanting to kill themselves? I mean, seriously, some people deserve to be done with, but what is the purpose? Just to forget about them? Again, with these blackouts, being strategic. Businesses report quarterly. So if you're not shopping on July 7th or July 4th, when they report their earnings, and I'm sure some expert out there can say what month they actually report, post it if you will, thank you. But when they report their earnings quarterly, okay, you didn't shop on the 4th, but you turned around and shopped on the 5th, or you shopped on the 1st, they still can report that money, that gain in those earnings. So being strategic means that we got to block out some stuff and black out some stuff for real, like a real blackout, right? Like my thoughts is the whole Christmas season, like we just switch it up. We already know how to fall back with this, pandemic. We can't just get out and shop and do all the things we used to do. Christmas is Jesus's birthday, so we don't really need to buy gifts for other people. And you can show them love by just being in their life, and making gifts. Just do something totally different to hold your funds for that quarter. That's a big earnings time. Even the Halloween season, the winter season, a lot. If you focus on what businesses, and this is good for stocks too, if you focus on what businesses are most profitable during those seasons, then that's who you attack if they're not supporting your cause. To me, that's more effective because when they see the numbers drop at the quarter because Black people have decided we're only patronizing people of color, minorities, and small businesses because you don't respect our dollar, then they'll say we need to, they'll do what they're doing now, but on a higher level. Another way to black out is to invest in our own banks. A lot of things that we complain about are high interest rates. They gouge us with interest. It don't matter that your score is over 800 if your skin is brown. Like they're gonna look at you off top and know that they can gouge you. They got you as a high risk for some reason. I don't know, or maybe you just quick to give up your money. I don't know how they have us categorized, but but if we put our money into one bank, other ethnicities have their own banks. The Asian community has their own bank. I think they rank the highest as far as, small banks or ethnicity wise with earnings. You have the Hispanic community, they have their own banks, and they're doing better than us. And I'm sure I'm leaving out, of course, the Jewish community, but we rank at the bottom, as usual, going in the wrong direction. Okay. But we rank at the bottom because we don't invest in ourselves the way we should. That's a whole nother topic when we start talking about cultural and social conditioning and the way that our brains think is a lot, not even so different from the way other people see us because of the conditioning. But it's time to start doing that because that's the only way we're going to have change. When I think about change, I think about money, power, and respect. And what my girls say, first you get the money, then you get the power, and then you get the respect in that order. And we can argue that, but I think it's a good way to start. Money is power, and then they're going to either respect you or they're going to be fools and be hungry. And that's fine with me too. The Montgomery boycott was very successful. They didn't boycott for just one day. I mean, they say this was a 13-month process, right? But it was within a week from December 5th to December 20th during that boycott period, from start to end of the boycott, not riding on the buses, that they got integration on the buses. Now think about it. You are paying to get on a bus, the same price that someone with lighter skin than you, mainly white, of course, is paying. You're not paying any less or any more. You're paying the same amount, but you cannot sit where you want to sit. You have to go sit in the back. But the white people have an option. How long did people do that for? Too long. But it didn't happen because Rosa got tired. It was strategically planned, and they picked this woman, God bless her. So because she was she had a clean record. She was a wholesome woman, married, a seamstress, her husband, a barber. Like people would be outraged if anything happened to her. If she decided today, I'm sit where I want to sit, and something happened, it would be somebody, it would be an uproar. So they picked somebody who fit the bill for America to be upset about. And then, after then, we got what we wanted. But that was like 40,000. The first day was 40,000 Black people not getting on the bus. They ride shared. That same money they were giving to buses, they were giving to people with cars and getting to where they got to go. Was that every single Black person? I don't know. History, I haven't seen anything historically that said it was everybody. So I don't think so. But I think they said the percentage wise was 90%. So no, it wasn't everybody. But that's what that was all about. So, like my man, Joe Madison, who I consider myself to be a student, him to be a teacher to me, says, the difference between a moment and a movement is sacrifice. So people sacrifice. Some people walk to work, but that's how change came about. So you have to be dedicated. The busing system was really affected monetarily with 90% of Black people not riding the bus, who were the majority patronizers. The majority of people who rode the bus were Black. Interesting. This is the world we live in. Hey, sis, I see you. Money, power, and respect. That's right. Thank you for watching. That's right. Marcella says money, power, and respect. Yes, first you get the money. So that's what we got to work on. Like I said, blackouts, I'm with it. I definitely support the cause. I think that we do need to be more strategic and think about this quarterly. It's like I said, we can look at it like we look at stock, because even if we decide that we're going to do this during a certain season, we can also know that we can buy low during that season on certain things, Black owned or whatnot, or certain stocks that, support our interests. And we can make money on the other end when things turn around. So we can start investing in our own business, small tech businesses, and buy low when the economy's low. And then just pour into it, because now we're supporting you even more so, because this quarter we're not supporting other businesses. So I don't know. I'm just, I'm not a money girl, but I'm just thinking these are some good ideas. If you have any, please share, because we need to pull our resources together and definitely make some change. And we're on our way. We're on our way. But those are the kind of things we have to think about. Yeah, I just be happy when we're done with this pandemic, because there's a lot of anxiety build up around it. The main issue is having to wear a mask everywhere I go. People are masked up, and it doesn't even make sense in some instances. Like when you go in a restaurant, you have it on, but you take it off once you're seated. you put it back on when you leave. Like, what, stop playing with my head. That's all I can think is what's going on here, So it's awkward, because I know it's real. Rest in peace. I know people close in my circle who have lost people close to them because of COVID. And I've known people who have suffered, and my heart goes out to them. By no means would I not take it seriously, but I have to be honest when I think about the world we live in. It's nothing that I would ever think that we would experience. I'll be walking around the United States with a mask on my face. Everybody, it's weird. It really is a weird time. Marcella says, we often hear complaints about Black businesses being overpriced. I believe that the more we patronize them, the more they can stabilize pricing. Thank you for bringing that up, Shella, because it's true. You have to think about it's different levels to control with warehousing. Back in the day with hip hop, artists had control of the writing, they had control of the production. What they lacked was distribution. We live in a totally different world right now, right? Because we have social media, which we don't own, but we have so many different ways to reach the masses. Back then with hip hop, distribution was a way to reach the masses, and people that owned it wasn't people that looked like us. So they had control over that. Same thing right now in merchandising, especially with things that we use the most. I don't know. Can somebody tell me, is there a Black hair manufacturing company that makes braid hair and weaves? Like, do you have a factory that you make it Black owned, Black processed? Because I think a lot of people, they go for beauty supplies, they get higher pricing or maybe they don't have access to, but they have higher pricing. So they have to turn that over to you, and they have lower stock because they're not Walmart. So they don't turn over that way. But if we just, we let other people tax us, you know what I'm saying? When you go in and buy stuff, they tax you and you don't cry and moan, you just do it. So in the Black community, if we have to tax ourselves, just like society already taxed us, it's for the benefit of us. That's how I look at it. So I think we do have to sacrifice. That's what a movement's all about, right? And then maybe build our own. Even with like these masks, people was talking about when Diddy was talking about the shortage of masks. One lady came on later talking about it, and she said, y'all got money. Go buy an empty warehouse in Chicago somewhere and start hiring people to make masks. Why are you complaining about it and you a million billionaires? Church, I mean, there are resolutions, and people that have different accesses to different things are all resourceful. A person with money might not have all the brains, but the person with brains may not have all the money, but they can get together and they can make it happen, right? So, that's how you have to look at it. And I know it's a long process, and I know I'm probably preaching to the choir as far as, the caliber of listeners I have, or maybe not, maybe some people, are set in their ways. I do see y'all on Facebook saying provocative things, low key support number 45, or just, speaking against this virus as if, we're being misled or we're being sheeps. But I think you can't blame people who just want to be safe and protect themselves regardless, and everybody's entitled to their opinion as well. I hope y'all done being patronized. The Redskins, they're going to be called the football team. I love it. I hope they keep it. I think it's beautiful. I think it's perfect. But are y'all tired of being patronized? Do y'all want to see change? For me, reparations is 0 to low interest rates for however long. There are other ethnicities who come into this country and automatically get 0 interest rates when they go buy homes and cars as reparations per se. Okay, so it's not asking a lot. We built this country. It's okay for y'all to be respectful and know that, you did your best to keep us back, but now you must atone. I mean, damn it. That's just what the demand is. So instead of gouging us, screwing us, and there's no Vaseline, because first of all, you make us build it, then you overcharge us to use it if you let us use it. Now, this is what you can do. This is what can happen with Congress and our sit-in, the legislation, and everybody collaboratively, locally, getting together and voting to make this federal. But get them interest rates together. Y'all got a blueprint on how to do that. Like I said, other people have come into this country and have benefited from low to 0 interest rates, and free public college, free education. Those are two big things I can think of. and stop messing with the credit. Leave the credit alone. Get everybody out the gate. I don't know, 800. What y'all say? I don't know. But those are some of the things that can be done that would benefit us as far as reparations, because it's really not reparations. You're not fixing anything, but you are making it right, because for a long time it's been wrong. And speaking of reparations, North Carolina approved reparations recently. According to USA Today, it passed by the City Council of Asheville, North Carolina, where they're providing funding to promote home ownership and business opportunities, but it stops short of stipulating direct payments. Money is good too. Money is good, but that's not the end and be all, because that has to be continuous. It's not like we're going to do this for 20 years. You might have to do it for 100 years, and give us a chance. Land. That was my other thing, land. So yeah, I think that's very important. Land for sure, because that's definitely a good way to build generational wealth. So we talked about DMX and Snoop today. I touched on Nick Cannon and his apology and him talking to the rabbi, and my point of view on it. Some of you shared in your thoughts. Thank you. I also mentioned a petition that's in going around. I posted it on my group page in your ear radio regarding shutting down 2 radio stations in Chicago, 107.5 and 92.3 FM, because of the rough lyrics they use. And I'm telling you, they rough. And the stuff they saying, I'm saying, is happening in real time. Like when they say I'm gonna pull up and shoot up your church and your kids and your funeral, that stuff is happening, and they're playing that, and they're saying, come on, you adding fuel to the fire. So I can't be mad at them. At the same time, we have to respect people's rights, but we wouldn't let them talk about dogs like that, okay? You, as an advertiser, you would not support a company that was talking about killing dogs and shooting up the dog, the puppy grave site. I don't know, So I think people need to be held accountable, and there has to be a level of respect. There are derogatory words used in other races and religions that you never hear. Michael Jackson couldn't even say it. They edited it out of his music, and he was just speaking about how people are disrespectful by saying this. And that's the kind of level of respect I think we need to have and present. We have to be a part of the solution, not the problem. That's just my perspective. And then we also talked about Chicago isn't the highest. They're number 4 as far as murders go. That was in 2018, and they're still not number 1. California was leading in the murder rate. So that's something, when people give you rhetoric and talking points, let's talk about California. Let's talk about Florida. Let's talk about Texas. We got a lot to do. It's a lot of work, since we can't just focus on one thing. Why let them focus on one thing? Let them talk about all the states, get all their facts and numbers together before they come talk to us, right? And mainly, our blackouts effective, you guys. I think we really need to be strategic and start blocking out and putting our resources together and building our own. In the hair and makeup industry, we got that money-wise. We should own that. We should have that sold up. I don't know what it takes to make hair, but we should know how to do that and sell our own stuff at our own price, and have a quality product. So listen, it's been a long, long time since I went solo, where it was just me talking. And I appreciate y'all for listening to me for almost 45 minutes. The first 5 minutes, you couldn't hear me because I had the mic on mute. But I appreciate you guys for listening. As always, I hope you have a good day. Try to stay cool, stay safe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day.